us as teachers, this building is special. We don't really have orchestral programs in a lot of the schools, and so the only outlet for social music is here. The thought of it sitting here empty and the stage silent was heartbreaking to us.
I played my first Scheherazade, my first Dvorak 9, my first Beethoven 5. I played all of that in youth orchestra.
And actually all those pieces ping. I immediately have memories of doing those the same way.
The Elley-Long Music Center is owned by St. Michael's College, and they have been incredibly generous with allowing us to be in this building. And when this was an active fort, this is the building where they would drill all of the horses on a daily basis. We are so fortunate to call this our home.
As soon as you walked into this building, it was just alive. There was this hum, there was this sound. And in the orchestra room, I saw there was a rug concert where there were like 3-year-olds.
I missed those,
yeah. And they were all aglow about all of the musicians on stage. And it was just like, wow, there is a pathway forward because of this incredible building and because of this incredible organization for these students to really achieve musical excellence. I signed up, and then, of course, quarantine began, and then just so much changed.
How is your enrollment? Has the pandemic affected that?
I am going to be very honest. I had some real worry last spring.
So it was things like, well, how can we reimagine it? What kinds of spaces do we have? How large are they? What kind of filter is in the ceiling?
But overall, we had an amazing response. I'm actually really thrilled to say that we have been offering everything, even in not very normal times. Parents really want their kids to be still making music, and it is absolutely heartbreaking that the schools can't right now.
The reason that we are able to do the things that we're implementing this year, which, yes, are very safe, is because we have this building. Because we're not beholden to a college or a university or a high school program that might say, well, our protocol is we can't have outside organizations come in.
We would not be holding in-person programming right now if it wasn't that we were in control of this building.
They were the first in the country to have their own space. Huge effort by people in the community, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't look like this. For us, it's the perfect size facility. We have 3 major concerts here. We run master classes. We have educational seminars, and we have lots of rehearsal.
How did COVID impact the Lake Champlain Chamber Music Festival?
We were able to work with our musicians. We said we're not going to have a festival, and we'd like to pay you half of what we've committed to. And if you agree to come back next summer, tentatively, we'll pay you 75%. I think the unemployment rates among musicians are like 80 to 85%.
Really catastrophic.
Really extraordinary.
Yeah. I think when we walked in, there was this like feeling, it's been, a year basically since I was also in here, and typically I'm in this space often, right? I'm coaching the youth orchestra, or I'm performing or rehearsing, and walking in, it kind of felt like seeing that old friend, it's such a warm, inviting place. And I'm sure the audiences are just missing.
Our audiences very typically come over an hour early to events, just so they can hang out. It's a special part of many people's lives. They carve out that week to be here. That is really, in part, testament to this building and how welcoming it is. 2022 is when most people are saying we'll be back to full live audiences.
It's sad to think of another summer going by without music in here.
It's just, it feels like such a waste.
Yeah, there's a strong sense of loss.
A strong sense of loss. This building was renovated for students to make music in. And that they're doing it now, but it's a struggle.
I don't like them either. Too harsh for me. My bow. Can I try it one more time?
Yeah, and were we going to pull back slightly?
Arts education for me, I think, is about the teachers. They're not just teaching you a skill. They're an integral part of your life. I'd never missed a lesson. I was never late, right? And my teacher gave me an A-. And I was devastated.
So nasty. I have to try something.
And so I said, why an A-? And he said, you're putting your time into things that are pulling you away from your goals. And he was so right.
Surgery is happening.
It's honestly totally something that happens in Vermont because of the weather.
That same teacher gave me my cello bow as a wedding gift. Every lesson, I'm really not just teaching cello. I feel like I'm also a therapist. I'm a listener. I'm their little personal champion.
My mother is a pianist, and she was my first teacher. Once you become a serious student, that's where I learned a lot of the life skills. Well, I went to Juilliard for my master's and doctorates, and you had heard so many rumors about Juilliard, how people are so competitive, and I've even heard rumor that in practice room, in between piano keys, that you find like razor blades. And I was like, what?
I heard that too.
But it was not true. People were actually very caring. My friends would all show up to my recital. I would go to theirs, and we have lively discussions about things. I was so focused on just getting better as a pianist, but that's where I really started thinking about what it means in a broader sense. Although I needed to be away from that building once in a while.
You go outside and you're like, oh yeah, I'm in New York. I was coming from a small town in New Hampshire, and I had heard of Juilliard, and it was just this magical place. And so there was sort of this feeling of like, I'm not worthy. And I remember walking in and really not being nervous because I was too excited. And they opened the door, and there was just a table with all my cello heroes. I just remember being like, this is awesome.
Juilliard for me is a complicated issue still in my head. As much as it gave me, it also gave me maybe the beginnings of a lot of struggles also in terms of who I am and who I want to be in the world. I actually don't come from a family of musicians, and like Juilliard was a name that they kind of knew, and they knew to be proud of it if I got in, but I did not know what Juilliard really was. That feeling that sometimes it's almost too much because that's all you're thinking and you're not looking outside much. So it's so lovely to hear your memory of it, because I have those memories too. It's just somehow the other stuff kind of like, you know.
I've come to love the fact that the musicians that I work with, some go on to be musicians, some go on to be composers, conductors themselves, but a lot of them go on to have lives in other vocations. When I hear from a student years later, like, wow, the work ethic that I established by learning a string instrument, oh my goodness, like medical school was nothing. Maybe 5 years from now, I'll have this moment where I go, oh no, all of the COVID kids have graduated, and now I don't have these students that know how important listening is and how to play 6 feet apart. Most of them seem in quite high spirits about it and actually have found some ways to see the silver linings and have adapted and thrived in a multitude of ways. And that to me was infinitely impressive.